You know when you're writing a word and you just stop and think, wait, why is that letter even there? Words like night or island or even honest, it can feel like English spelling is just intentionally designed to trip us up. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on these little linguistic mysteries, and you're going to see that pretty much every silent letter has a secret story to tell. All right, let's start with a classic, a real repeat offender, the word doubt. We all say doubt, so what's the deal with that B? Where did it come from, and why on earth is it still hanging around? It turns out this one little question unlocks a totally fascinating story about the history of English. And look, this isn't just some weird one-off thing. Researchers have figured out that roughly 60% of all English words have a silent letter. That's huge, more than half of the words we use. So if you want to understand English, you've got to understand them. Okay, let's dive right into our first case, the mystery of the silent B. This one's super interesting because it wasn't a mistake and it wasn't a sound that just faded away over time. Nope, it was put there on purpose. See, doubt isn't flying solo here. You've got words like det and subtle that have the exact same silent B. So right away, that tells you this isn't just a random fluke. There's a pattern here and a shared story. So who's to blame for all this? Well, believe it or not, we can point the finger directly at a bunch of really enthusiastic, probably well-meaning, scholars back in the 16th century. They absolutely loved Latin, and they wanted to make sure everybody knew it. Let's just track the journey of the word det. For centuries, we're talking Old French, Middle English, it was just spelled D-E-T-T-E. No B in sight. Absolutely no B to be found. Then, all of a sudden in the 1500s, boom, a B just shows up out of nowhere. And here's the deal. Those scholars wanted the English spelling to honor its fancy Latin origins. The Latin word for det was debitum, and in Latin you actually pronounce the B. So what do? They literally just jammed a B back into the English spelling to make it look more Latin, to show off its classical roots. I just love this quote from Merriam-Webster. It captures the whole vibe perfectly. I mean, it sounds like something out of Scooby-Doo, right? Those meddling scholars. But this is the actual, real history of these words. Okay, so this is the key takeaway, for sure. Unlike some other silent letters we're about to meet, this B was never, ever spoken in English. It was a purely visual academic tweak to the spelling. It's like a little historical Easter egg, just hiding there in the word. Okay, so we've seen how letters can be added in. But what about the opposite? What happens when a sound gets subtracted from a word, but the letter just stays behind? Well, a lot of silent letters are actually echoes of how we used to talk. They're basically ghosts of pronunciations past. Honestly, the best way to think about it is that these letters are like fossils. Just like a fossil can tell you about some ancient creature, a silent letter can tell you about an ancient sound. It's a clue, a little piece of evidence about the word's history. Just look at words like these, which mostly come to us from Old English or the Vikings. That K in knife and knock, or the G in gnat and gnaw, they didn't used to be silent. Hundreds of years ago, people would have actually said ku knife or gun gnat. You would have heard those sounds. And we have proof. Check out the word night. Its German cousin, the technical term is cognate, is connect. And in German today, they still pronounce that K loud and clear. It's a direct link to the past, showing that our silent K is what's left over from that shared Germanic family tree. And you know, this whole process we're doing right now, it actually has a name, etymology. It's the study of where words come from and how they've changed. So every single time you spot a silent letter, you're basically doing a little bit of linguistic archaeology. Pretty cool, right? All right, let's switch gears and talk about the most common silent letter of them all, the letter E at the end of a word. But this one's different. It's not a fossil, and it wasn't added by a scholar. This letter has a job to do right now in modern English. It's called the magic E, and for a very good reason. Now, this E might be silent, but trust me, it is working overtime. It doesn't make a sound itself, but it kind of reaches back over the consonant and completely changes the vowel before it. So it turns the short I in rid into the long I in ride. It takes cut and makes it cute. Cod becomes code. It's a tiny letter doing a huge job. But wait, there's more. The magic E isn't a one-trick pony. Its other main gig is to tell you how to pronounce the consonant right before it, specifically if it's a C or a G.
Okay, check this out. Take the word stag. Without an E, you get that hard gus sound. But add a silent E to the end and you get stage, and suddenly the G softens to a just sound. That E is like a silent director telling your brain, hey, change that sound.
So, when you put it all together, you start to see that silent letters aren't just random, annoying mistakes. They are markers of history, they are clues to old pronunciations, and sometimes they're even active players in the game of modern spelling. You can really boil it down to two main types. First, you've got your dummy letters. These are the ones that are truly silent, like the fossilized K in night or that B that got added to det. Then you've got auxiliary letters. These are silent letters that team up with other letters to make a whole new sound. Think about PH in phantom. The H is silent, but you need it there to make the F sound. And once you start thinking this way, you see that it's not just chaos. There are rules hiding in there. That silent B in lamb or thumb isn't random. It's following a very clear pattern where a B often goes silent if it comes after an M at the end of a word. It's not an error at all. It's a memory that's literally baked into the spelling. I think this quote just nails it. A silent letter might be phonetically mute, you can't hear it, but it is loud with etymology. It's shouting out the history of the word, its origins, and the incredible journey it took to get to us today. So from now on, when you write knife or have a doubt about something, maybe just take an extra half second to look at it. That silent letter isn't a mistake. It's a story. And that just makes you wonder, what other incredible stories are hiding in plain sight in the words you use every single day?